I think it's important when you talk about something that has already been recycled throughout the media already to at least elaborate on your own thoughts, first off, but second, to actually understand what is going on and not to just report something that's already been reported. Obviously, as you can see in the title, I'm going to talk about the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron and James controversy or drama or whatever you want to. And I do have my views on it, but I do want to take some time to break down a little bit, not too much, but enough for people to understand that are on one side, which right, it's Stephen A. Smith's side, and the people that are on LeBron's side. Now, let's start with the Stephen A. side. Now, Stephen A. obviously is one of us got the most popular when it comes to the debate style analyzation of sports, especially when it comes to the NBA and the NFL. And within that, one thing that has become very prominent in this culture is getting views and talking about topics that will get confused now. When you talk about those topics that get you views, which is typically going to be teams that are in the larger markets, the Los Angeles Lakers, the New York Knicks in the NBA, you got the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL, for example, that are those organizations. You are going to be more inclined to talk about those teams, no matter how good they are doing or how bad they are doing. So when a team like the Los Angeles Lakers isn't performing at the level that the Los Angeles Lakers usually perform at throughout their history and their dynasties, for example, you, if I'm Stephen A., you are going to take that time to still emphasize and microscope some of those glaring issues within the Los Angeles Lakers organization, with the players and the play itself. Now, again, that is what Stephen A. Smith has become, arguably the top guy at ESPN, not really arguably, but the top guy at ESPN. There is a reason why that is, it is what it is right now for Stephen A. Smith. He has done a lot to build himself up to this position. Okay. So with that, talking about LeBron James' son and the context that not only Stephen A. Smith, but the ESPN panel, the cast of First Take, even on NBA on ESPN, for example, those conversations start to feel as if they are just targeted. That is what it's looked at. That's what it's looked at and looked at as. The reason why is because obviously we have not seen a player as scrutinized as Bronny James. Now, the reason I feel he is a little more scrutinized, I think he would have been scrutinized regardless, but a lot more scrutinized than what he probably would have been, is because LeBron, being the father, started to prop his son up a year or some months before the draft. And he made an infamous tweet, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, but essentially he said, my son can play better than most or half something like that. Like, see, that's why I said paraphrase, because I can't remember the exact tweet. But some of these NBA players in the league today, that is going to obviously send off fireworks for anybody that talks about sports. LeBron James is the most scrutinized player that we have had. Just anything, everything that he does is scrutinized. It is put under a microscope. It is true. And when he did that, that is where I agree that you put a target on his back that wasn't originally there. And there was already a target with being a James, right? Obvious. But there was a way where Bronny could have done exactly what he's doing now. There could have been LeBron and Bronny getting on the court together, all that shit. He could have went to the G League, could have played. Yes, there was going to be conversations about Bronny. But again, in a lot less of a way, this reminds me of the LeVar Ball experience when LeVar Ball was going on a media tour talking about how all of his sons were going to be in the league, and he was going to make sure he accomplished that. Now, I feel even as somebody that isn't currently a dad, if I was a father and I had an opportunity to put my son or daughter in a position that they could not get into, or I shouldn't say could not get into necessarily, but it would have been harder for them to get into, and I have the position and power to do that. I'm going to do that contingent on some things. Obviously, I think that everybody has their different ways that they think about what that means for their kid. If they are going to help their kid get into a profession that they are in where you can open up doors that maybe you didn't have. That's why nepotism is such a complicated conversation, because if you were in the position of being able to put one of your kids in a position, are you going to do it? Is it about working hard for them? Is it about making sure that the family stays, the family wealth or family, whatever stays within? If there's a lot of conversations, right? Or just, this is LeBron James, he has the power. But Bronny James, back to Bronny James, because the guy that got into a nepotism conversation, is it doing as bad, especially, well, I should say in the G League, is it doing as bad as what people are making it seem like? Like he's just not an NBA player. Like he can't score and win anything. It's not like that. Now the G League is obviously different, but it's not like the Lakers are throwing him out there. He's in the 8, 9, 10-man rotation. He's not, all right? Gets garbage time minutes sometimes when they're either down by 25 or up by 25. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's not that Bronny has been scrutinized, because, again, in the same breath, we just watched our first ever second round televised event because of Bronny. And that they made a night specifically for the second round because Bronny was going to obviously go in the second round, whatever that was. And that, again, there's a level of hype and there's going to be a level of scrutiny. It's a complicated conversation because, again, if you are his father, and again, I'm not a father, but I just understand, I could just imagine what it feels like when you can see this level of scrutiny on your kid because of who you are. Even though, again, on the other side, there is the conversation with Stephen A. Smith and the fact that LeBron, I don't remember when it was, but damn near a year ago, made that infamous tweet. It really did put more target on his back than it ever would have had that not been said. Use that play that you should by saying that, using, again, in a lot larger scope. I mean, astronomically larger than what LeVar Ball was doing, but he still used his pull, his power to get his son into the league. It is clear nepotism. There is no doubt about that. Let's not argue this no more, all right? Now, if Bronny does find a way to be any type of use to any team as a rotational player, as a 3-and-D guy, as a whatever it is, that is an accomplishment within itself as a second-round player, period. We're not even talking about a lot of other second-round players unless they are performing at a high level. We're not sitting here saying, oh, this player is a bust, this player is a bust, and they are the 60th pick, the 45th pick overall. When they come out as a surprise, that's what, pleasant surprise, that's what we tend to talk about second-round players. And when it comes to the case of Bronny, that's hard for people to do. I think it's got to a level where every single thing he does, when it's bad, because you notice Bronny's been doing a lot better in the G League. You don't hear about it as much. You don't hear people constantly talking about Bronny doing bad, and that is because it's easier, it gets more clicks, more views, what you say, and you continue to criticize somebody or an entity or a family, or it's just easier, especially in the NBA community. And I mean, the level of play, excuse me, let me not make it seem like it's become a personal thing. Sometimes it feels like it's getting personal, And that's where it starts to feel like the LeBron altercation makes more sense. But again, that's not for me to say. And I do want to say if LeBron is willing to live like this, I want him to live like this with anybody else that's talked like that, that has that same type of media push, or even you see them at the Lakers arena. My whole point is speak your mind. Just speak your mind, LeBron. It's at that point. And you understand what is going to happen, how it's going to be perceived, but it needs to be said. It does. It's ridiculous how this second round player is more scrutinized than the number one overall pick. I haven't heard about Zachary Risachet since he got drafted, I feel like, in the media. Yes, and the draft overall was supposedly an underwhelming draft, and we've seen that it hasn't been like this big wild prospect necessarily. There's been pleasant surprises, of course, but again, oh man, I just need us to live by a standard and stay by that standard. He just moved the goalposts conveniently. When Arch Manning comes into the league, are we gonna get? You know what? I can't even say that because he's key. Anyways, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. If you like content, like, subscribe. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the confrontation and both sides, and just understanding that both sides have their rights, but at the end of the day, it's got too far. Anyways, y'all stay blessed. Have a good day. Bye bye.